Here we're going to look at why an economy might have a surplus on their current account of the balance of payments. Remembering that the current account of the balance of payments is looking at the flows of money into an economy and out of an economy because of exports, imports, flows of income from dividend, interests and profit, and transfers of money. If you have a surplus on your current account, it's likely we're seeing increases of exports, less imports. On balance, there's more money flowing into the country from income flows than out, and on balance, there's more money being transferred into the country than out. If you have a surplus on the current account, overall it means in these areas there is more money coming into the country than there is money leaving the country. We're going to look at 4 main reasons why you might have a current account surplus. The first is looking at the actual products that you are manufacturing in your country. It's likely that these are high quality. If they're high quality, more people abroad will want them and therefore you will export more. The other thing is that you may have high productivity. High productivity, that means that your output per factor input is high in comparison to other countries. For example, your labour productivity might be high, which means that your output per worker per time period is very high. This results in lower costs per unit. And if your costs per unit are lower, this results in a decrease in the price. And therefore, more people abroad are going to want your products, so you'll export more because they're cheaper. The other thing is that your products may be desirable. You might be producing things that other countries particularly want, and therefore you will export more. These things also mean that you will be importing less probably, because people within your country will want to buy the things made in your country if they are high quality, the price is lower and they're particularly desirable. So these 3 factors will mean you export more and import less. The next area we're going to look at is that you may be experiencing low consumer demand domestically. That means in your own country. You might have low demand domestically, for example, if you have reduced incomes in the country or the economy is in a slowing down position. If this is the case and you have lower consumer demand, this will mean that you import less into the country, and this would cause imports to go down here. The next area we're going to look at is that your currency may be weak. And this would cause you to export more and have a current account surplus. Here we need to remember spiced to help you remember how currencies work. This means strong, pound, imports, cheap, exports, dear or expensive. Therefore, if you have a weak pound, this works the other way around. It will make your exports cheap and more of those will be demanded, and therefore your exports will go up. It will also actually mean, if your currency is weak, that your imports will be more expensive and therefore you will import less. The last reason that you might have the surplus on your current account is because overall you have a net inflow of income. Income, remember, is another thing that's measured on the current account, and that's to do with dividends, interest, and profits. And these overall may be in a net positive position coming in from abroad. You have more money coming in from these things than leaving the country. And this means that you might then have a surplus on the current account. Dividends are where people in your country own shares in another country and they receive the dividends into the country. That will be a positive on the current account. If someone in the UK puts their money in a bank in South Africa and earns interest on their savings and they bring it back to the UK, that would be a positive on the current account into the UK. This one, if someone in the UK sets up a hotel in Namibia in Africa and the hotel makes a profit and they bring it back to the UK, that again would show up as a positive on the current account. This is another reason why you may get a surplus on the current account if overall your income flows into the UK are net positive.